About 10 seconds, it should be on there. Okay. I'll just say a few things in there and it's about a 20-second delay. It's going, it's good.
We're gonna revise history in that way. Did you get everything plugged in that you needed plugged in? Did you get everything plugged in that you needed plugged in? Okay. Somebody cares about you, and it's Mark. Heck, you were still under my name for a little bit.
Is it working now? You can hear it? But you can see video on it? Okay. Mayor, you're up and running.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right, welcome to the September 17th, 2025 North Logan City Council meeting. We will begin with a pledge led by Joni, after which Emily will say a prayer.
Please join me for a pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our dear, kind, gracious Heavenly Father, we thank Thee for the beautiful weather that we have received and the rain and moisture we have received in this month. We ask the Heavenly Father a blessing as we go throughout this meeting, that we can keep our minds open to know the best way to move the city. And please bless all of the emergency workers at this time, that they can be protected. We say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you too. I would entertain a motion to adopt tonight's agenda.
So moved.
Okay, motion by Emily,
Second.
second by Joni. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we have minutes for approval from September 3rd. And Scott, did you get my email about, we just need to change the adjourn time from 7:02 to, I think it was like 7:35 or something like that. But other than that, did anyone else have any other changes?
That was the only one I had noticed, so.
Okay, then I would entertain a motion.
I'll move that we approve the minutes from September 3rd with the change to the adjourn time.
Okay, motion by Kenny,
Second.
second by Emily. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes unanimously. We have tonight's exemplary staff member. That is Max Stedman. He was nominated by Ryan Campbell. He says, Max Stedman has consistently gone above and beyond in providing exceptional service. He's attended every service project and generously dedicated time to teaching students the proper techniques for planting trees. The skills and knowledge he shared will have a lasting impact on those young individuals as they pursue their own tree planting efforts. Max leads by example, and his dedication and actions continuously enhance the work of the Parks Department. Join me in giving Max a round of applause. And can I also add, we're so grateful to our Public Works Department, who was in my neighborhood for a water break, I don't know, a week ago, into the wee hours of the night, and then went to another water break across town in the next day. So we're grateful for them too. Let's get reports from our public safety officials. Chief Thompson, will you start us off?
Hello, Mayor and Council. Just really quick, just to recap last month's calls. Really, the calls were pretty consistent with last year. There's nothing really there that I want to waste too much time on. What I'd like to spend a little bit of time on, if we could, unless you had questions about last month's report, but you can see we're literally within just a couple calls of last year at this time. 616 this year, 615 last year, year to date. Probably the most unique thing with the lightning storm this week, just to bring, I think I saw a first of my career. I saw a lightning strike that ignited a gas line It literally, I showed Alan the video. I'll circulate the video to the council. It's actually pretty unique looking because the gas is coming up and spinning around the tree. Um, and you know, you really can't put that out. You don't want to put it out. You want it to keep burning, but super unique. And almost simultaneously, we had a call up in the wildland. It was reported to be way down low, just above, I believe, Mahogany Drive and Oak, but actually was quite a bit up on the mountain. So we had to split all our resources. It was pretty wild for about 20 minutes. There was a lot of lightning strikes. I believe it was just, what was that, Monday night or Sunday night? One of those. So yeah, kind of a crazy night. So I'll send that video. It's pretty unique. Um, and then the other thing I also circulated to the council and the mayor, we're in the middle of House Bill or Senate Bill 215. That information I sent out. I sent you the bill to be able to read through the new law. It requires us to go to RFP for our existing system, even if it's in good standing and just for relicensure. So after we had Logan's legal team reviewed it, we verified with State Bureau of EMS. They were both very comfortable with just having us do one RFP since our 4 cities, River Heights, Providence, Logan, and North Logan, are all one big geographical license. So we're almost done with that RFP and writing that. So hopefully the council and the mayor would be in agreement that it's the most efficient way to do it. Obviously, we'll share the proposals that come in, including our own, because we have to turn around and write that proposal for our own system. So I'm happy to do that presentation here if you would like to see. We have to kind of go through a cost and quality delivery of kind of like a little summary of the system is what the state wants us to do now. So that's probably the biggest item that we're working with right now. We're up against time because that's at the end of this year. So so if you have any questions on that process, I'm happy to answer them. But
So do you have everything you need from us for the RFP process?
for hearing today, all I really need truly is that doc will just need the mayor's signature if she's in agreement of starting that RFP process. So hearing today, that's all we would need right now.
Okay. I've kind of given these guys an update on HB 48.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Can you
Yeah, I
give
did.
us
I saw
the
your
latest and
emails.
greatest?
Yeah, for sure. No, thank you for asking. I just went to the state chiefs meeting today. So I
Okay.
have the latest from Forest Fire State Lands. That's the Division of Natural Resources that is trying to oversee this thing and how that's going to affect you. And the mayor circulated some great information to the other mayors groups on what we're looking at. So the state still won't really tell us a time frame for what they deem the high risk WUI map, which is the high risk wildland urban interface map. That map that they release, they will use that map to determine who lives in the high risk areas in Utah. Okay, Cache Valley will no doubt be impacted. And what that will entail is if you live in the high risk WUI area, you will be assessed a fee, and it's classified 1 through 3. Class 3, I'm hoping they flip these around because they don't match up with fire code, but at any rate, the class 1, 2, and 3, each one of those has a different fee assessment. 1 being, I believe, the largest fee, 3 being the least, or it's flip-flopped. I think they're still working through that part of it. But the thing to remember is, so how you get the lowest fee is if you follow NFPA, and then the NFPA releases what they call a Firewise landscaping plan, and then you're following the International Fire Code from 2006. It's not that new of a code. It's actually not that hard to do. A lot of those things have probably already been implemented by cities, to be honest, but you just have to officially adopt that. So what we'll need to do is we'll put together an ordinance for the council. We'll adopt the code. After we go through that, our fire marshal's office is working through kind of like a checklist of things that we would need to do. Okay, to pass an ordinance, and then you'd have to adopt a WUI zone. Now, the WUI zone's been the fun thing that gets people a little worked up. Scott Perks and Alan, I've kind of been through multiple maps. I think the mayor's reviewed, and I kind of sent that map for Alan to kind of look at, to kind of turn on the different layers and the risks of what each area consists of. Okay, so it's not to be confused with the state risk map. That's what's getting people. The state's going to come out with their map, and there'll probably be very little influence we have on that, unless you've got a lot of pull with legislatures or the legislators to potentially have it changed in an emergency session. But really, we'll have to wait for that map because that's the one that they're going to be assessing fees on. For North Logan City, we just need to adopt a zone that we would deem as the wildland urban interface area for North Logan City. That can really be what the city wants. It's been recommended that it be as close to the state map as possible because what you can see happening if you're a much less lenient WUI area and the state comes out and says, hey, this area is high risk. Now you've got citizens getting fees from the state that'll be assessed. And up to that point, they didn't even know that they were in an area. So be like, wait a minute, I'm not deemed in the North Logan WUI zone, yet the state just hit me with a fee. So that's the tough thing we're balancing. They're hoping to have their map out by October. I don't think that's realistic. It's probably not going to be till November. And they've asked municipalities to adopt these, the WUI code and their map by the end of the year. So we're kind of doing it a little bit blindly. It's a little bit of a ready, fire, aim situation for me. It's hard to try to guess what their map will be. So that's really where we're at. And they reiterated that if your map doesn't match the state map perfectly, that's okay. We could always change it if you wanted to, but I think we're close where we could probably help determine some areas. Alan, the FFSL director today, he specifically said that if North Logan wanted to, if they knew their area better than some of those maps do, which we've talked about, it's okay to change those. It's okay to follow major landmarks like roads and canals and things. So just adopting that will be important. I know we're running out of council meetings because we have to do that by the end of the year. You know, October, we'd probably want to get that wrapped up. So I'm happy to meet and workshop this to explain it the best I can, because as I've been given information from the state, I've tried to share it. And Alan and I have had quite a few talks about it. I've tried to kind of get good, solid information for council and mayor, so you're not wasting your time. But
No, we really
that
appreciate
kinda
that
help?
because I think some of the other municipalities don't have that same communication with their chiefs.
Yeah.
And so I think most of them that I spoke with at the Mayor's Association meeting had never heard of this. So really appreciate that. Do you have a sense, timing wise, is it better for us to adopt a map before the state does, or does it matter?
You know, excellent question. I've thought about this one and I've thought, hey, do we kind of roll the dice, have it ready to go and see if we get lucky and see a map in October and then know what we're going to do and quickly adjust it? I would say possibly, as long, and I think I feel like we're in a good spot. Like I said, prevention's working on the required code that we would need to adopt out of the 2006 International Fire Code. If we've been looking at maps and we're looking at the maps that the FFSL wants us to, that's all right out of what they call the URAP system from DNR with actual solid data. The pixeling, Alan, I found out, believe it or not, is 100 by 100 plots. That's why they do it that way. And so they did that. Apparently their map is using I guess, brand new data that we haven't seen and don't have access to. That's the most frustrating part is, man, I would love to see their map. So we've gone off the fact that they're looking at that level 5 area. I think everyone that's seen that level 5 risk feels like that's probably too low down into the city. 6 may be not quite enough. Just kind of depends on where those areas are. And I think it will just have to say, hey, here's the map that we feel comfortable about enforcing in North Logan.
And do we know, like, are they leaning more towards that 5, or do you have a sense?
That's the inside information we have. They're leaning towards the
5 is absurd. So I think we really need to, because it's council, I think we've talked about this, but it goes to 12th East in North Logan, which, I mean, just objectively doesn't have, I just think it's such a stretch to say that that's part of the wildland urban interface.
And I certainly don't disagree with that. I'm wholeheartedly supportive of a WUI area. I think everyone is. There should be that boundary, but it may have, that map may contain old data, and that's why I feel like they're saying, hey, you know your cities. You adopt what you feel good about as a mayor and a council that you can enforce and start implementing your WUI code, because there'll be no penalization for that. What will be penalized if we don't do something? Then we're not covered under the the CWS program, which we certainly want after what we experienced this summer. So I would say we look at the area, we have it ready. We'll stay in touch with FFSL if we're lucky enough to see their map be coming out in a reasonable time. Great. If not, I think we go ahead and make the ordinance and make sure we're done before the end of the year.
Okay.
And yeah, we'll just watch.
But they're
that.
hell-bent on beginning the assessments in January of 2026.
They are, and they confirmed that today. The state chiefs group kind of called them out on that date. They felt like, hey, are you really going to stick to it? And they said, absolutely, we will be. We expect all municipalities to have this adopted in ordinance, and we will have our map out by that
Okay.
point.
Because I think they're maybe underestimating what the, speaking of interfacing, it's going to be the cities that get the blowback from that. And I think rightly so. Rightly so that there's going to be blowback, that if people are suddenly, and do you have a sense of how much this potentially would cost, like these assessments?
Yeah. So, and then before I forget the one point, before I share the assessment costs or what they're projecting, the thing that's confusing for me is in the League of Cities and Towns presentation on this that I kind
Yeah.
of shared. Here's a little bit of, you'll notice that they say we're focusing on the 7.
Yeah.
I don't know if you caught that.
Yes.
But what they reiterated today was they are not just using the structure risk assessment score. They are using Ember carrying capabilities. They've got 3 components in there. And they said that data is brand new and state of the art. They're using state of the art systems to generate that. So that's the reasoning for the delay, but they're saying 7. The map makers are telling us 5. Let's hope that it ends up lower,
Somewhere in
right?
between.
We'll hope
Well, and
for
I
that.
think that's the difficulty of maybe even legitimizing data that we don't have in front of us. You
Yeah.
know, it's just this kind
It's
of
hard.
ethereal, hey, the Ember load's gonna encompass a third of your city or half of your city.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
okay.
in the maps that Alan and I have been looking at and that we've shared with you, where you can turn those different layers on, that is the exact tool they told all municipalities to use. So we're using the right things. It's just not as robust as what the state is putting their high risk map together.
Mhm.
The layers didn't work in that link that you sent, or at least
They do. Does not work well on a phone. I'll just say that. I found much more success on here, but then you have to just click here and then you can see.
There's a lot of eyes you have to click.
You have to
Okay,
make sure that
alright.
they're all on, because if they're not, you
Okay.
can't see anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true. It took me a
Not
minute too.
user-friendly.
So in regards to fees, Mayor, so I think I might have mentioned they're estimated to be 80,500 plus homes affected by the high risk WUI. That's
Mhm.
not municipality zones. That is what the state is estimating. So obviously that's a big lift. They have to hire people and train them to do assessments. The FFSL group will be the group that's responsible for training people that'll do those assessments in those areas. It's unclear if it's going to be based on square footage of home or square footage of property and home, which could really change fees. I've heard rumor of if you're in the classification 1, which is the worst class of the 3,
Highest risk, yeah.
as high as 700 to 900 is what I've heard per home annually, down to 300 to 400 if you're in the classification 3.
How are they planning to assess the fee? I was looking into it to try to figure out, like,
The
with this,
county.
like, would it become as part of your tax?
Yeah,
then?
yeah, the counties are responsible for the delivery of the fee, and then they have to determine how much money has to be kept in the county to run our system based on the amount of homes and assessments that are being done. Then the rest of the money goes to the state, which the best I can explain it would be a pool of money that's used as almost an umbrella policy for the protection of fighting wildfires. This year was a devastating year for the cost. I think they said, I've got the numbers written down. I'll share that with the council, but it was I thought they said around 48 million to fight fire so far this year in the state of Utah. So that's the money they're trying to generate. Because if you do the numbers, even if you figured 500 times the 80,000, it's putting it into those, I think it comes up around 40 or 50 million, I think. And that's just, we're all guessing, I'm guessing a lot of the things just like you are. So it's kind of hard to know what's coming, but that's the best info we have
Okay.
for you at this
I appreciate
point.
it, really. I think we're way better equipped because of you and the work that you're doing and the interaction you're having with the state. I just, if there's any way to pass this along, we grapple with $30 a year in tax increases where people are furious with us.
Oh, yeah.
And so to
Sure.
drop $700 to $900, we just can't. I mean, I that's absurd to me, and I feel like like, I get the intention of this, that we're trying to offset the wildfire risk, but I think it's been very frustrating to have this be such a vague process. I think we can get behind it if we know that there's actual data, but I think the more transparent that they can be with the cities, I think the more that we can get behind it too.
Yeah,
So-
100%. They
Especially-
acknowledge that today, that they realize that there's been a lot of pressure put on municipalities, councils and mayors and they know what's coming, because you're right, that whoever's in that line and gets that first fee assessment, you'll be the ones that get the call. And I think we all do agree that, right, there is that need, that if you live in that area, it comes within a significant risk potentially. But our hope is that the impact to our valley is minimal. If you live in Park City or somewhere like that, you know it's coming. You're literally living in the forest in those areas. But
Mhm.
we're hoping the impact in Cache Valley is minimal, but it will be there
Yeah.
for sure.
But it sounds like, and this is the hardest thing that I'm grappling with. It sounds like that we're going to assess this fee of an unknown dollar amount to residents of Cache Valley to send that money to help fight fires in Park City. And that is very frustrating to me. I understand that we all want to protect, we all want to work together, but that is something that is going to be almost impossible for me to sell to people.
Yeah.
Yes, please be assessed on this fee, especially when we're saying the higher level is per household. That's what I was looking at, and maybe things have changed since I've looked at it. But I was under the impression it was per home, not per square footage, not based on anything like that. And that is very frustrating.
That's a moving target still, Emily. It absolutely is. I've heard a couple of theories of how they'll assess those. I keep hearing the same numbers, so I don't think they have it dialed in yet. I've only seen, so when they passed HB 48, we've just barely seen the draft language for the new law that it is affected. It is still in draft form, and the minute I see the actual law and the Utah code that it affects, I'll share it with the council, just for easy reading, because it's nice to be able to just pull up the PDF and say this is how it landed. Because as you know, you get the bill language, and then they fix the law, and sometimes the draft language I thought was pretty clear. I mean, but it doesn't change what the message is. There
Yeah.
are fees coming. There's 3 classifications in the high-risk WUI, and that area is going to be assessed. And so it's a big deal for residents. I know it is. And I wish we had a stronger say. I think the message would be our representatives are the ones that help carry that message. They would be the ones that help push maybe some modifications in that. So I would just recommend we all be super involved with talking to our representatives and our senator, and let them know the things we're concerned about. Because when you talk to people, I think everyone agrees there's that area, right? There is some risk, but it's the way it is right now. It's super tough to help you to navigate cities through. So I'll do my best and try to share everything I get. So.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Chief.
I was actually going to transition back to SB 215, so you finished the HB 48 discussion.
There are 1 through 10 on the map, but you've talked about 3. How do the 1 through 10 scale and the 1 through 3 scale interact? On
No.
the fees versus the map designation?
Excellent. Okay, great question. So in the tool that I shared, which was built from the URAP system from DNR, you get to see our GIS guys took their map, which does have a 0 risk, clear up to 10.
Yeah.
And to simplify it for our cities, the discussions at 10 and the low numbers are really insignificant. So what we did is the state told us that the level risk, the 5, okay, that was the data that they were looking at that was most likely going to be part of the building the map for the high risk state map, okay? So 5 and above becomes state map. If that's all high risk, everyone in that map would be included in that high risk designation and be assessed. If their property would be assessed, and they would be sent a fee. Within that state map, you're classed 3 different risk levels. Basically high, moderate, and low. Okay, that's where the different fee schedule comes
So
from.
from 5 and up, you get 1 through 3.
From 5 and up,
Okay.
that's the data set. Let's say that's the data set that creates their high risk map, and then within that map, you get the 3 levels of risk. Does that make sense? And then the municipalities have to then take the same data right? And then build their own map that says, this is where we're going to implement our building codes and follow the International Fire Code from 2006. I'm sorry, I wish it wasn't so complicated.
Chief, I hope you're ready for grilling too.
So Chief, real quick, with SB 215, I just want to loop back around to that with the EMS RFP. So historically, LCFD has provided its own organic EMS services within the fire department.
Yes.
So we've never had to create an RFP because we've always just provided the services organically.
Never.
So just a point of clarification on that, I did have a family member who recently had to take an ambulance ride, and we got the bill back, and it came from Gold Cross. So I thought there may have been some kind of contractual agreement there with
Oh, no,
Gold Cross,
no.
but how does that work?
Yeah, so Logan City Fire Department contracts with Gold Cross Billing. They
Just for
have a
billing, okay.
standalone billing
Okay.
operation that truly, when we vetted those, we vetted 3 or 4 of them about 4 years ago, and they know what they're doing when it comes. They follow the state laws and state codes. So that might be the confusion. It usually has our logo, but it should have been Gold Cross Billing.
Okay, gotcha.
And yeah, and so all of it's done third party.
So with SB 215, we're now required to generate an RFP, and then we will propose, LCFD will propose against that RFP, but theoretically, someone like Gold Cross or some other ambulance service could also propose on that. And then who does the evaluation and the selection of the EMS provider from the proposal submitted?
Yeah, so Logan City, along with the fire department, will send the RFP out through proper process. It's got to be out for at least a week. That'll come in sealed bid. It has to come in sealed. And then the finance department or the Logan City will open those. I've never done this. It'll be a brand new experience for me. So as those things come up, we'll invite everyone that's part of that partnership to view those and see them. But it's the first time ever, Kenny, truly.
It's a riot.
Super odd.
It's super fun.
Here again, it's a piece of legislation that really wasn't intended. It's a broad stroke. They're trying to fix things in places in rural Utah, and it's affected municipal-based fire departments. Logan, Ogden, West Valley, they're all municipal-based systems that are well-run, have excellent service. We would never go out to RFP. They're in great standing. The ambulance fund is an enterprise fund. The users of the system fund the system, right? The ambulance system isn't funded by taxpayer dollars. It is a great system for all users. So to have to go out to RFP for our own system and then put a proposal in, that wasn't the way Senator Owens intended it. I expect by next ledge session, this bill is changed. This language will be fixed. But we're caught in the middle because we have to be
There's a
re-licensed by
pattern
December.
here.
Does SB 215 provide criteria that they want you to use to evaluate proposals that come in?
It
Like,
does.
Is it all just
Yeah,
lowest
it
cost?
absolutely does. Yeah,
We don't.
yeah.
I did ask about that last time to make sure.
Yeah.
There's-
Okay.
There is
all
a
right.
Cost, quality, and assurance, or delivery or something, and
So if
they
somebody
want you to
came-
follow a process. So
Ah,
we're
okay.
building our RFP off of the state's new requirement.
Okay.
So
All right. Thanks, Chief.
Okay. Thanks so much,
thank you.
Chief
That was a
Thompson.
lot of info. Sorry.
No, appreciate you.
Okay. Thank
Okay,
you.
thanks a bunch. All right, Chief Goodrich, you guys think of stuff to ask him about? Controversial stuff.
Great, I'm ready. This has been a heavy week for law enforcement, not only just here in Cache Valley, but also down south in Utah County down there. It's had a major impact across the state here. This week, we saw an interesting trend. Usually our weeks go to about 10% priority calls and 90% of non-priority type calls. This week, we had 28 priority calls that we handled as a department. So that equates to about 30% of the calls that we took in North Logan. We had 67 non-priority. The thing that was concerning as far as those, we had 2 child abuse and child neglect cases that we dealt with. One sex offense involving a child where the child was a victim, and then 2 other sex offenses. Those couple of cases alone took the majority of our detectives' time this past week. The other priority calls were the medicals and the accidents that we were responding to. It was kind of a crazy week. 67 of the calls were non-priority. They involved some of the other things like the ATLs, the fingerprints, some juvenile problems, suspicious people or vehicles or incidents, things like that. Those are, like I said, kind of what we handled this past week. In addition to that, I wanted to let you know we have 2 that are scheduled to attend field training officer school next week. And we have 2 interviews for officers also scheduled for Wednesday of next week, which would bring us, if we hired both of those, would bring us to almost fully staffed. We'd be down 1 at that point on that. So we're making progress. We're handling the calls as they come in, but it has been a pretty busy and pretty stressful week with that. In addition to that, Monday, I had an opportunity to go down to the Chiefs meeting with Governor Cox, where we kind of shared some of the concerns that we're seeing. The e-motorcycles was part of that discussion that I'll be able to present on later this evening to you on that, and some of the other problems that the chiefs are seeing across the valley too and across the state. So it's been a good week, but busy. Do you have questions or concerns or things that you'd like me to talk to?
I'm really excited for a discussion about e-bikes.
Okay. Yep, I am too. It's been a good one. It's been one that I've been trying to work with and be pushing in front of the Utah Chiefs of Police Association Board and the legislative working group there. I feel like this discussion's happened a lot because of the concerns that are happening here as well. So we're trying to get that out front.
Chief,
Okay.
with that discussion, do you know, do we have, I know we have a lot of, anecdotal experiences with e-motorcycles on the roads. Do we have any data statewide or locally on accidents or, other, incidents with those e-bikes that can help us?
Not statewide data. I do have some data for things that have happened here in North Logan. And I sent Alan some pictures that we can share and talk about when we get to that portion of the discussion. But yeah, it is happening here in the valley. You're seeing it across every city, every agency here in the valley. So
Yeah, and I've observed that too. I just wish we could quantify the problem a little more.
sounds good.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
We'll put a pin in that one. Okay, Alan, will you give us a review of our action items?
Thanks, Mayor. We'll go over the community center at the end of the meeting and reports. The website is nearing finalization. It's actually just done now. We'll start talking about in the next week or 2 just how to implement that. So thanks to everyone who's helped out with that. The master signage and wayfinding plan, all of those proposals have been submitted this Monday. We'll go over those in a committee, and then when we get to the point of selecting one, we'll bring that before the city council for your approval. The city name, though, is probably going to be part of that, which we'll talk about at the end of the meeting in reports. And then there's an emergency management and exercise this Thursday, tomorrow. It's usually about a valley-wide communication exercise through our CERT program. Most of that goes through North Logan for the entire valley. So this is our CERT program is very robust in North Logan. Other cities are starting to put theirs together, and they'll come and they'll have a communication exercise this Thursday. Going down through, Jordan will give us updates at the end of the meeting on water. There's several things going on. Sewer, thanks to everyone for attending our sewer information session with Zach. He did a fantastic job. It's good to be brought up to date on everything that's taking place within our sewer system. And they're doing their cleaning program right now. Streets, the major project is still continuing on, and that is Naomi Drive. That's the once private lane, now public lane, up on the bench. And they're fixing it's about 20 years of stormwater issues at the bottom of that, which should be fantastic to have that done. And then they'll fix a portion of the cemetery road in conjunction with the building of a home on that road. Stormwater, Ryan's putting together his annual report. It's a very extensive report. He has to submit to the state every year. The state mandates the cities actually take care of the stormwater program, which is a state program in each city. So he does that and has an endless amount of reporting to do to the state on that. Engineering, 2850 North project, that will be paved in conjunction with the Main Street improvements that are taking place from 2850 to 3100 North. And so watch for that in the coming weeks. 12th East, that they put curb in this week. They're getting closer to both sides of the bridge that is going in. The bridge is just the component where we're just waiting on parts. It's a precast, bridge that they have to bring into place there. Parks are working on several different things right now, wrapping up the parks for the year. So they'll still be maintaining those, but then also or preparing for the pumpkin days, which will be coming up soon. Bonneville Shoreline Trail will have a meeting next week to discuss the Bonneville Shoreline Trail. We have that grant, one of 3 grants we received on that to install the remaining portions of that. Jumping down through recreation, obviously they have endless amounts of recreation going on. If you click on that tab or that link in the comment section, it'll go over all of the different things that they have right now currently taking place, like flag football and girls flag football, which has been a huge success in North Logan this year. And then all of the other programs that are coming up in the coming weeks. So that's a huge portion in preparation for also pumpkin days. Coming down through here though, let's skip down to community development. Scott will give us an update at the end of the meeting, but they have a few smaller developments coming in. And then just the constant updates regarding the general plan updates, the city center plan updates. But he'll provide those at the end of the meeting. Economic development, they're finalizing the site plan surrounding McDonald's. They already have the plans for McDonald's, but the site plan surrounding that, they're finishing up all the civil set right now. And so that'll be great coming in on that corner. Again, the rest of these departments are really heavily involved in prepping for the fiscal year audit. Sorry, the audit for not just fiscal, but across the city the next month. So Scott's getting very busy, human resources, business licensing, the treasurer. They're all very busy prepping for that. The library, they're just involved in endless amounts of things getting ready for the transition period from the community center is completed and then the revamp of the interior of the library. And we'll go over that coming up. But they do have an endless amount of programming still taking place. So you can just go to the website to see all the different programs coming up. And they also have an email list serve if people aren't on that. You can go to the website and sign up for that. And they send out emails pretty regularly with all the different programs coming up. And then thanks to the police and fire for their thorough updates.
Thanks, Alan. All right, let's move on to our action items, starting with number 2. Consider an updated resolution approving the use of formal eminent domain to acquire a portion of parcel number 04-055-0007 located at approximately 2581 North, 1550 East for the installation of the 2600 North roadway. Alan, do you want to just give a general background to this? We've all heard it before, but.
Yes, thanks, Mayor. Just very quickly, a month or 2 ago, this came before the City Council for consideration regarding the alley property to declare eminent domain, to acquire a portion of that property. One step throughout that process per state code is we have to notify every person or entity that has interest in the property. And there is a lien holder on this property that we were not aware of. And so we've gone through the notification process regarding that for New Res LLC, which holds a lien on the property. And so this is part of that process to give them proper notification, give them the due notice, and this is that step in that process.
Okay, any questions, council? Okay, then I would open this up if we have any of the property owners present today for to speak on this item. Okay, seeing no property owners present, we will move on to council discussion or vote. I guess motion.
Yeah, to approve a resolution.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2522, authorizing the filing of an eminent domain action against Garrett Alley and New Res LLC for parcel number 4557.
Okay, motion by Mark,
Second.
second by Emily, and we'll do a roll call vote. Joni? Emily,
Aye.
Kenny?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
That motion passes unanimously. Okay, let's move on to consider authorizing the release of the subdivision warranty bond along with any remaining construction bonds for the North Logan Apartments, the Meadows subdivision, 2200 North, 200 West. Jordan, you got this one?
I've got it. So this is an older subdivision in North Logan. It was constructed back in about 2020. They switched the name a couple times and the developers had changed a few times. So they just came back and want the release of the warranty bond. We don't actually hold that. It's a letter of credit, so we just released this. We have found that the subdivision is good and that we accepted the infrastructure. So I would just recommend we release the warranty portion of the bond.
Okay, any questions for Jordan? Okay, then I entertain a motion.
I'll move that we release the subdivision warranty bond along with the remaining construction bonds for the North Logan Apartments subdivision.
I think it's called the Meadow.
Oh, the Meadows.
It has like
Subdivision.
3 or 4
Yeah,
names.
that's
So
great.
What name should we say to make sure we're doing it correctly?
I think he did both, so.
Okay,
All of them.
good.
Yeah.
Name all of them.
Or other names
Or-
it's known by?
2200 North, 200
Aliases.
West.
Okay.
Okay, so motion by Kenny. Second by Joni. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes unanimously. We'll move on to consider authorizing the mayor to sign an addendum to an agreement regarding compensation for an easement for a culinary water line. I can even speak to this because I've been doing most of the speaking about it. So in 1995, the city entered an agreement with Kay Gilgan to acquire an easement through his land for a water line. And in that agreement, they offered 2 water hookup fees that were transferable. And there is no such thing. There was never such thing, even in 1995. And so Kay reached out to me because he's kind of trying to get his estate in order. And so he asked me if he could cash those out in some way. We toyed around with perhaps doing some sort of formal coupon that he could, sell to someone, but he really just wants to have this taken care of so that his children don't have to chase that down after he dies. And so we suggested just giving him a water impact fee, 2 of those for a 3/4 inch line, which is $10,000. So I've spoken with him. He's on board with that. I dropped off a copy of this proposed addendum to that original 1995 contract, and expect that he'll sign that he's in agreement with that. So, questions from the council?
I'm glad you got him to agree to something because the phrase water hookup is so vague. Like, do we have any idea, what did he think it was? I was so curious.
I think there's just several different opinions as to what that was. I don't think it was very clear, like you mentioned. And so this is very hats off to the mayor and working with Kay Gilgan to find a resolution that really works for both parties, and keeping with the spirit and the intent of the original agreement.
Yeah.
And it seems consistent with there's additional language in the original agreement about what it does and doesn't include. But
Okay.
whatever it did or didn't include, you're finalizing it with a payment.
And he's
it
happy.
closes.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
good of both those parties to
That
come to
feels like a reasonable amount.
I'm looking at the agreement, it still doesn't have that language, and you may decide that it doesn't need it, about Gilgan representing he still owns the property and hasn't previously conveyed these rights, because these rights are transferable in the original agreement. And it
Yes.
would be good to have him confirm he hasn't conveyed them.
I'm happy to do that, but I'm actually 100% sure that he has not, because he was confused about what that would look like.
Okay.
When I suggested that perhaps we create an instrument that would convey those interests, he was really wholly uninterested in that. So I think it's clear that we're saying this is in lieu of those hookups. And I don't think that the city has any indication that anyone's tried to come in with Kay Gilgan's water hookup fees.
I mean, if we could add the sentence, I guess that just covers us doubly. Is that?
I think it's finalized at the point though, because the addendum just says that this is made.
Okay.
Whole, both
All right.
parties are done at the end of the agreement.
Yeah, I mean, I'm open to whatever, but I'm not.
Appreciate it. It's just a representation, but I'll let you guys decide. I'm fine with
You're okay with
the
that?
framework of the negotiation and the amount.
Okay. Sounds good. Then I'd entertain a motion on this.
Want me to try this?
Sure, do it.
I authorize the mayor to sign an addendum to an agreement regarding compensation for culinary water lines.
I heard you make a motion to authorize.
I'll make the motion.
Okay. Motion by Joni, second
Second.
by Emily. Any further discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes unanimously. All right, let's move on to our work session items. As advertised, we're going to be discussing e-motorcycle policies across the state.
All right, this has been a long time coming on this one, and it's an issue that needs some clarification and people need help understanding. And I want to kind of go through it with you and tell you what the laws are as they sit right now and some of the struggles that police departments across the state are having with them. First off, if Alan, do you have those photos of that one?
Which document is that
That would be the e-bike picture.
on this list? So e-bike classification picture?
Yep, so that's this one. So first off, I want to talk about the issues that we're having are centered around e-motorcycles, not necessarily the e-bikes. So I wanted to walk through what an e-bike is, and then we'll talk about the difference between an e-motorcycle.
Alan, I think it's actually, if it's this one, oh, it's the bike one then. Okay.
Yep, so this is the bike one. And part of why I wanted to talk about this one is because the state has put age restrictions with each of these. So the class 1 under 8 years old cannot operate these pedal assist e-bikes. The class 2 under 14 cannot operate those without a guardian present or within 300 feet of them supervising them. And then the class 3 under 16 cannot operate those type of vehicles. So the different classes, basically the way it breaks down is the size of the motor, the electric motor, and the throttle assist and how fast the bike can go. So the fastest is your class 3, class 2 goes to 20 miles an hour, and your class 1 goes to 20 miles an hour. They're allowed anywhere a bicycle would be allowed. On the streets, they have to follow the same rules that a normal bicyclist would. Again, we're not seeing the issues with these type of riders on that, but commonly e-motorcycles are referred to as e-bikes. And so I wanted to kind of put that out there. Here's some of the problems that we're having. E-motorcycles are referred to as e-bikes. So if you'll jump to this one, know before you go, it's going to be the electric motorcycle handout. So this one. So again, that first one, electric bicycles, you have your defining features. They're generally 750 watts or lower. Your e-motorcycles in comparison are centered around like 2,500 watts, 2,700 watts, depending on the class of the bike. They're much, much more powerful. And the torque on them is just incredible. It's instant torque on that. They can get up to speeds of like 70 to 80 miles an hour, depending on the size of the rider and if they're coming downhill or not. You have electric scooters, which we have had some issues. We had an accident here this summer with an electric scooter and a motorcycle involving a juvenile who was underage and not technically supposed to be on the roadway. That individual was coming down the road and a truck pulled out and she basically broadsided the truck on that. Now for the electric motorcycles, if we can kind of scroll down to that one, the defining features on those, again, they have a power output or greater than 5 horsepower or 750 watts. They have throttles, they have foot pegs. It's not a bicycle. It's basically an electric dirt bike that you're seeing. They have mixed appearances, but there are a lot of different manufacturers. Sur-Ron is one of the most popular. They have a Pro Electric that's also a very popular one, and some other mixes that are in there. So here's where some of the confusion comes in, because Currently, there is a roundabout age limit that is tied to the operation of these type of vehicles. So first off, if a electric motorcycle is considered street legal, it has the mirrors, it has the turn signals, it has a horn, it has disc brakes, it's registered and has a license plate, has insurance on it. If it's considered street legal, the rider has to have a Class D operator license and a motorcycle endorsement. In order to have the Class D motorcycle or the Class D license, you have to be 16. So that is where the roundabout age limit comes from, if it's street legal on there. Most of what we're seeing is not street legal. They don't have the turn signals, they don't have the mirrors, they don't have the horn, they don't have all of the things, the emissions and things that are usually required to be, like if you were to make a UTV street legal. Most of what we're seeing are not, they don't have that type of equipment.
Chief, quick question on that. Do they typically, do e-motorcycles come with lights typically?
They come with lights, they're usually just a headlight.
Okay.
But as far as the turn signals and things like that, they don't. There are aftermarket kits that you can get to put on there, but it's quite expensive to do that, to retrofit it. That's part of the problem that they're having. So the vehicles that we are seeing that are out on the roadways, we've had issues with them driving 50, 60 plus, 70 plus. They're popping wheelies going down the road. They're trying to balance on that wheelie, and so they're drifting into oncoming traffic and back and forth. We've had a few crashes where vehicle or the OHV, sorry, where that electric motorcycle has crashed into a vehicle. Alan, could I have you go to the picture of Wolfpack Way vehicle crash pick. Okay, so this crash happened July 14th down on Wolfpack Way. It's about 2300 north. You're facing southbound in this picture. This was one of the electric motorcycles that we're talking about that was coming northbound on that walking pathway. There was a vehicle that was hit that was coming out west onto the road, turning right to go north on that. And as that driver came out, she was looking right, happened to glance left and saw the electric motorcycle that was flying down the road at a very high rate of speed. 35 to 40 is what we estimated. And if you look in the picture, you can see the skid mark that the rider or operator of that electric motorcycle laid down as he tried to stop. He was 13 in this one, so he underage on that. The driver of that vehicle tried to gun it to get out of the way, and they ended up hitting kind of in their rear trunk, left rear trunk area on that. So the concern across the state that we're seeing is that, number one, the operators of these type of vehicles are typically 10 to 15-ish. They have no understanding of traffic law, of who's required to yield. They don't understand speed limits or the requirements coming into different zones, residential zones or school zones, things like that. They don't understand when they can pass, when they can't. We've had several near misses with electric motorcycles that are passing illegally on the right and then turning left again in front of drivers. I think Mayor Peterson had one that did that to her on a late night. In essence, they are acting as a vehicle on the roadway without being street legal, without having insurance, which is causing the secondary problem for the people who have been hit or been involved in crashes, because they're having to go back and front the upfront cost for that and take care of that. So it's a major issue that we're seeing. So the difficult part for law enforcement is twofold. Number one, the current law is very ambiguous. In a roundabout way, it limits it to, if it's street legal, then they have to have a motorcycle endorsement on that. 99% of what we're seeing are not street legal. So we're having parents buy them so their kids can go to school, so they can go to soccer practice or football practice or basketball practice, and they ride in packs, they ride in groups, and it's very dangerous for the public and for the kids themselves. They're not following the speed limits or traffic and safety laws with that. Technically, if it's not street legal, it's considered an off-highway vehicle, and they are not allowed to be on the road. When the police try to stop them, the issue that we've ran into is that quite often the kids run. They take off, and they're so powerful and so quick that it's near impossible to get them to stop unless they willingly pull over. And from our perspective as a PD, we're not going to chase a kid for a simple infraction on that. What we're hoping to get in the discussion that we're going to have tonight is how do we help educate our parents moving forward? How do we develop some municipal codes or ordinances that will help the parents with this problem that we're having? We feel it's a matter of time until we have a kid that's seriously injured in it. I have taken it up to a legislative working group and suggested some changes to them. They're working through what that might mean. Things like, under 16 can't operate on the street, period. Like I said, technically, that's kind of how it is right now, but we're not really seeing it.
I was gonna say, that doesn't sound like it's very enforceable then.
Yeah,
Or,
it's.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is difficult to enforce. So we've had 4 crashes that I know of this summer involving electric motorcycles or a scooter on that. And in those where they have been at fault, we have cited them with that. So right now, if we were to swing the pendulum and go just heavy-handed, every electric motorcycle, we stop if it's a kid that looks like they're under 16. We check to see if it's street legal. If it's not, then we can just move to the site and call the parents or impound it. Some agencies are just moving to that where they just strictly impound it on that if they happen
How's
to
that
catch them.
going?
They're having a lot of pushback from parents again, because the parents, like I said, there's a lack of education, I think, on the parents' part. A lot of the friends are buying them and their parents are buying them. So it's just easy and it's convenient to be able to send your kid down to practice on a motorcycle and not have to worry about it.
Sure it is, but
on
they have
that, so-
responsibility and there's consequences. So I'd rather say tough love and your child's gonna stay alive versus we show up at a funeral because you didn't know what you were allowing your child to do. And it's not safe. I mean, you're just riding a bicycle is not safe, but you give them that much more power. So
We
I'd
know
love to see us
the-
stop something.
The departments that have kind of taken that hard line, do they have any data on, of the number of kids they're trying to pull over, how many just speed off and how many are actually getting, stopping?
I don't know, to be quite honest, Kenny. They might on that, but I haven't got that data. There
I would
have-
say anecdotally, it's really difficult, like, because I see, it's very, very popular in my neighborhood, and I see wheelies virtually every day.
Yeah.
And, it's like, do I hurry and call the police? It's really extremely difficult to, like, even if you guys are very close, it's hard to chase them down. So I would say that's, like, them running is one thing, but I think just it'd have to be a policeman that just sees them.
So do a lot of these e-bikes come with speedometers on them, like to be able to tell how fast they're going?
um,
Are you talking e-motorcycles?
Sorry, I think I said e-bikes.
Yeah.
I did the same thing everybody else is doing. Apologies. Do the e-motorcycles generally come with a speedometer?
I thought that they do, yeah. So they have some basic equipment with it, but again, it's not a street legal. They're designed for off-highway use for unimproved terrain.
But I know at least scooters do.
Oh, well, the only reason I guess I'm saying this is this is going to be such a dumb analogy, but here we go. When I worked in nursing homes, they had a speed limit for the little jazzy scooters that they had around. And a lot of the people were like, they had governors within it that like, they told people like, if you do this, like you're going to get fined. Because if the people went too fast around corners and stuff, they were mowing people down.
This is the best
I know, and
analogy.
it's like such a, in reality though, if there was a way to ask for the e-motorcycles to become more like a bicycle, I don't, I can see kids wanting to use this and I can see people just straight up flouting the law, but if we can find a way to make them a little bit safer and a little bit more like, if you're gonna call this an e-bike, you need to treat it like a bicycle, if that makes sense. And
But
I don't know,
I don't think you can make them call it a
Yeah.
e-bike because
See,
it's not at all, like, it's pedals, right? Like, if you have pedals, it's an e-bike. If they don't, you don't.
I have yet to hear somebody not call an electric motorcycle though an e-bike. Does that make sense? Like where
Yes.
I'm like, okay, this isn't a bicycle. And so I do think there's an education portion that we need to be of like, this is a motorcycle.
What's,
Yes.
right. So part of that, an off-highway vehicle, the kids are supposed to get a OHV training certificate. So I did this one today. It took about half an hour. It's a free adult course that you go through, and it has etiquette on riding and some rules and things like that. Under 18, they have a safety course that they are required in order to be legal. That's for your ATVs, four-wheelers, UTVs, and these electric motorcycles or dirt bikes. A lot of our kids aren't doing that either. So the state has a training, safety training in place already. It's more of a education campaign for the public and for our citizens here.
And that's for off-road use. And so the training is not traffic signals. It's don't hit the rock and rattlesnakes, that stuff.
Right, but also in helping the parents understand where they can and can't ride them.
So it helps define off-road.
Yep. So the off-road, they're allowed to use them in the public lands, like public trails, things like that, up in the mountains. Private property, if they have the owner's permission, they can do that. But certainly not down the streets, and most definitely not down the sidewalks or the walking paths. That's part of what we're trying to help the parents understand with that. Our approach as a PD has been not the heavy end of the pendulum. It seems like we don't get the compliance when we go heavy-handed like that. It's been more of a, hey, this is a problem and you can't be doing this, you can't be riding, you can't send your kids down to school. And it's slowly getting out there, but it's like we said, it's a matter of time, we feel.
Can I ask the council this? Are we comfortable prohibiting the use of e-motorcycles on paths? Because
Oh,
I'm specifically thinking about
absolutely.
3100 North, that removed path. What do you guys think about that?
I know that Wolfpack Way. I know that accident was talked about a ton.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen people flying on that path. So I 100%, if we're going to go heavy-handed on anything, it's that if an electric motorcycle is seen on a path, I want us to be coming way heavier on that.
But then e-bikes we're okay with,
If-
is
it's
that
not-
right?
So e-bikes currently, like I said, they are allowed on the sidewalks, anywhere a bicycle would go.
Okay.
Currently, as the law sits now, unless the city changes their ordinance on it.
So I think maybe that's one place that we can start because I think then it's a black and white. Like if you see an e-motorcycle or if any officer on duty sees an e-motorcycle on that removed path, I think that's a really terrifying thing because you have so many pedestrians and
Well, and right around 3100 North, there's Town Center Village, there's about to be yet another 55 plus community there. Like, we are asking for a senior citizen to get hit.
And you
I
can't
still
hear
feel-
the electric motorcycles either.
They're so
That's part of the
quiet.
problem, is you can't hear them
They're
coming
quiet.
up. And so somebody turns accidentally or steps 1 foot to the right and
I still feel like, yeah, electric motorcycles on the path seems like a no-brainer to me, but a class 3 e-bike can go 28 miles per hour. That shouldn't be on a walking path either. Or even a 20-mile-per-hour class 1 bike.
Here's the thing though, okay, so as a person who has biked pretty regularly, like you can get up to 20 miles an hour on a bike.
And you should be on the roads. Like,
You are
that's-
correct.
that's-
I'm more saying though, when I see people on a pedal assisted e-bike, the only time I've never seen them get up to 20 miles on a biking path.
I also don't see e-bikes going on the paths as much. Like I
seen a
think
lot
the
more on the
most
road.
often you may see young kids on an e-bike, but I don't see it as the same.
I guess I wonder what, like,
Well, because
you're instructed as a bicyclist to ride on the roads and follow all traffic laws like you're a
Mhm.
moving vehicle. So why would we not apply that universally to
the paths as
e-bikes?
well.
Yeah.
Well, I would say this though, we allow bicycles to go on the walking paths. And if the e-bikes are similar to bicycles, if, like, are you wanting to then eliminate all bikes
Well,
from the paths?
I thought that was already, like I say, at least the bicyclist training I've taken
so-
says,
The e-bikes are currently allowed anywhere the bicycles would normally be allowed. That's how the Utah law sits right now. That they can be, if the city allows them to be on a sidewalk, the e-bikes are allowed on the sidewalks, not the e-motorcycles, but the
Yeah.
e-bikes.
are bicycles not told to ride in the road and obey traffic laws as a moving vehicle?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, is that what elementary kids are doing? Like, are elementary kids who ride their bikes to school, are they going
Oh, they're
on
on the
8th
path.
East?
I see them.
Some of them are on 8th East. I had a
Question
complaint from a
online?
teacher at North
I
Park
see 'em
today
all the
who said
time.
there's a big group that's starting to ride down to the elementary. So we're talking 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds now as
And
well.
I would say, like, as a public policy, I don't want to shift them to the roadway. I
Right.
think and I'm also thinking about 6th East. I know that there's quite a contingent of kids that go on that removed path that's now on 6th East. So I would just say, Kenny, I think where I'm reluctant to say all bikes off the removed path is that I think enforcement's tough, and I don't think that that's currently where our problem lies.
Yeah.
But
Have you thought about, I just remember when I was 14 and they had an assembly and the police officer came in and he ran a bunch of pictures and showed the car accidents and what happens when you're drinking and you're driving and you see the after.
Yeah.
And that was enough for me to say, I will not let that be me. Some kids are going to still do those things, but I'm going, what about assemblies at schools? And you show this, I mean, you're not showing what happened to the individual, but you're showing this is where you have to be careful because you're going to pull out from somebody's, subdivision like this and they can't see you.
We could certainly ramp that up. I do know in Green Canyon that those type of presentations are being done by the school resource guys there. That is certainly something that we could increase. And we've talked about trying to host a city meeting here where people come and I try to talk to the parents, things like
I think
that.
it'd be really great. And Johnny, I think that's a great idea. I think where we go the hardest is on education because I don't know if you can have too much education on that front. So,
Right.
but yeah, Chief brings up a good point. I think it'd be great to extend this workshop to the public, like in a less formal meeting so that we can get, and I think maybe we can have an educational component to that, like what kind of things you're seeing, because I think no parent wants to put their kids at risk of
Right.
a serious crash or injury. So I think we can start from there, right?
And-
But I think that educational component's important. Go ahead, Alan.
Sorry, Mayor. One other thing along those same lines is if we've had workshops in the past, they can be well attended. When I mean well attended, you'll have 10 or 15 people come. What if you did a quasi survey just to get some feedback of maybe thoughts, ideas, things that people have seen? Because you're going to have a lot of different opinion, which is good. The council has different opinion. It's fantastic in this type of situation where you can get feedback from the community to just say, you'll have people that'll say adamantly, don't tread on me. I just let my kids ride wherever. Obviously, you're gonna have that one end of the spectrum. Then you're gonna have everyone else on the other end of the spectrum, or a bunch of people that say, I never want to see any motorcycle again. They're too dangerous. So yeah, there's gonna be polar opposites. But then you're probably gonna get some constructive dialogue that will come back or feedback if you leave an open-ended question in there that says, hey, what have you seen in the community? What are some things that might work or things that you've seen in other areas of the country if you're moving from other areas of the country that have worked well in those areas? The one thing I fear for Chief is just the enforceability. We've all seen it. We see kids ride recklessly on these, and I've also seen kids ride responsibly. I fully agree, not on the path though. They're not intended for that. These paths the cities put in, the state kind of funds, they're not intended for motorcycles. But then is there a component where they could ride safely on the street? I don't know the answer to that, but just setting Chief up for success.
Yeah.
If
So
you set him
Chief-
up for failure by just saying absolutely nothing anywhere, he's going to be chasing around gangs all week and he's never going to catch any one of them.
That's what I was gonna ask. What is, based on your experience, Chief, what is your desired outcome? And
Mhm.
what are your priorities for some kind of ordinance that would come out of this?
Yeah.
In the working group with the legislative group, I've suggested that there be some type of age restriction that comes down on it. They've got it for the e-bikes already. Why not clarify it? That's part of the confusion with, that the parents are having too, is there's nothing that says my 14-year-old can't on there. So let's clarify it and make that easier. I do have some sample codes that I have found that I could send to Alan.
I think you're gonna get a lot of pushback if there's a strict, because I think that's the sweet spot of where where parents particularly want their kids to be able to take themselves to practice. Like I don't think that, I think the sweet spot that people are using e-bikes right now are like 11 to 15.
Right.
So I think, and I think that, to Alan's point, I think we need to have some sort of like maybe some options, some specific options, because I think if you just open it up to like, what do you think about this? I think people are going to have, like you said, a very wide array of opinions, but I think we really need to kind of maybe focus that a little bit and say, would you support this kind of prohibition? I think we've reached a consensus pretty much on the removed paths and e-motorcycles. But I think tonight I would love to get maybe some direction from the council on possibilities for some. So that's one of them, to say, look, if you don't have a Class D license, then you can't be riding a vehicle on our city streets. So that's one. I think that's going to be a tough sell, and I think that's going to make some parents really mad. Does that mean we shouldn't do it? No. I think we're all tasked with, I really do. I live in fear that our city is going to have a fatality on these bikes, and it's going to be, so tragic. And I feel like we will all get the question, why didn't you do something? So that's kind of driving where I am with it. But I'm just saying, I think that will be met with a lot of opposition, but I think we should throw it out as an option. So
Has the state passed anything about licensing these as you would a motor vehicle and then
No.
regulating it as such?
When you start talking that, you start talking all kinds of financial repercussions with that. If you change the definition from an off-highway vehicle to a motor vehicle, like a car or a truck, then you have insurance requirements and
Good
mandate
point.
and
But they at least should be licensed as OHVs right now then,
right.
and not many are, I would assume.
Most of them are not.
Okay.
where you could take a sample is the pile of them at Green Canyon.
Great Canyon. Yeah.
I wonder if I think the survey is maybe our best way to go. And I'm wondering if we should have, I think we should have mayor's option there of like, these are not street legal, they are not allowed on our streets. And I think we should also include, like, we're maybe coming down harder as an off-road vehicle and explaining like this. But then I would like an option where if they're being treated more like a bicycle and going at very low speeds, I wouldn't mind seeing them on our roads. I don't want to completely throw that option off of the table, just because I feel like if we give no option for them to be there, we're asking for people to just flout the rules.
I
That's,
think that's a slippery slope though, because
I-
we don't allow internal combustion engine dirt bikes onto our roads right now. And the only difference between that and this is the method by which it's being propelled. But if we're going to allow these, why wouldn't we allow ICE engine dirt bikes on the roads also?
Right. Well, that all comes down to the city ordinances and the way that they're written right now. That would have to be worked through in the language on what you want to allow when. There are exceptions right now for OHV vehicles for husbandry and farming, exceptions for them to get to, chores and sprinklers and stuff like that. But that would have to go through what is going to be the best option from the feedback we get.
And I think, to Emily's point, you're not necessarily espousing that idea that we go with the, like, hey, if you stay below the speed, but I think for
No.
survey purposes, I think
we
that's a
need to
good
have
point.
that option on the survey though.
Yeah.
My thought is though, I'm now realizing the ease of which I could buy one of these for my children is a little too easy in my mind, because the marketing feels incredibly safe, if that makes sense. And as a person who's not super familiar with motorcycles, a lot of these, they call them e-bikes.
Yeah.
And if you don't know the difference, like I'm gonna be real with you, I've only heard them called e-bikes. I never hear electric motorcycle. And I think that that was done purposely. So that is another thing is I feel like if we can make it really clear and start getting people to be really aware of what they're buying, I think that that can help quite a bit.
So what if we do this? What if we do some sort of survey that has some options that are, you know, along that spectrum? Alan will write it. And um,
No, Alan's not busy.
I'll help you.
Chief will write it. I will go with Chief and he will write it.
No, I'd be
Okay.
happy to help. But what if we do a survey and then we culminate with maybe a workshop where we kind of discuss the results of that? We have Chief talk about, you know, some of the issues that you're seeing and do an education component, because truly, to Emily's point, I think that there are people who really don't understand the distinction between an e-bike and an e-motorcycle, which was me 2 months ago. So I think that's kind of maybe a path, and council, maybe you guys can also be involved with that, you know, just with crafting that survey to reflect maybe some ideas.
You know, I would think that you're coming here because you're afraid about safety. You're afraid about a kid getting lifetime effect or death because of these things.
Right.
That's what you're there for. And we have laws on the book right now that restrict the use. It would seem that you can take the current laws, identify the areas that are most likely impacted, whether it's neighborhoods or at the school or at the parks, and put up signs, put up information, talk to the schools, and get the current law out now. That will generate the fastest survey results we could ever have, because we're telling the people what the law is right now. And we're informing them of the safety risks. And then from that, we'll get definite feedback, because we're telling them they can't do what they're doing, and telling them why, because it's dangerous, enlightening them as to the risks they're putting their kids in probably unknowingly, and enforce what we have. And then if we can make it better, make it better.
Okay.
We had a good comment from the audience of putting it, the flyer in the newsletter, which we're already doing.
Yeah. And on social media too. I
And
think.
also on the mailboxes, because that's works really well for watering.
Okay. And, you know, just, I think I've gotten just informally some comments on this, that I think you guys got some of those from like Barbara Middleton, but, I think a couple of things she brought up were, lights, and that's maybe an issue that comes with even, there are even things that don't fit tidily in the e-bikes or the e-motorcycle classification. But anyway, I think that would be maybe lighting, or would be a component that maybe Chief, you could speak to in a neighborhood meeting. So
But it's almost like the rush that we've had on water conservation or fire where we just, it's a significant safety risk, and we need to let people know what's going on.
But
yeah.
you brought up a good point, Mark, that whatever, like, these are classified as OHVs, and the only novelty there is the way by which it's propelled, but we already have laws and restrictions in place that restrict dirt bikes, which these are. So maybe we need to clarify slightly what that is, but those restrictions are already in place. So if you were driving down the road and you saw a non-street legal dirt bike on the road, what would you do in that case?
Again, like I said, ideally, we'd stop that.
Yeah.
We stop and make contact.
But you've had that, and it's so hard.
The difference is popularity. So right now we're talking about dirt bikes, which have been
Yeah.
around forever, and people ride them, but we all know this. They're few and far between, and people knew the laws on those. This one just seemed like it flew under the radar, and it
And
came
then
in
exploded.
and then exploded, and you have tons of kids. I see them all the time riding around on these things.
But is
And
it
so
really
we're-
that different
we're
from a
be-
dirt bike?
It's not different in any way. The difference is the popularity. So there's
Yeah.
already a pandemic, if you want to call it, going across the whole community, and we're behind it. And so how do you address that at that point? It's not as easy as just saying, here's some laws and follow them, because they haven't been following them.
Yeah.
You go where they are, which is at schools and at parks
Cedar
and in
Ridge,
certain
that
neighborhoods.
park by
And
Cedar Ridge, I
can
see
we
them all the
also
time.
mention, like, they are prohibited from being on in the inside of parks, right?
Right.
Like,
Yep. So Elk Ridge and the dirt track up there, absolutely, they cannot be on that. It comes to the damage that they're doing. It comes to the speed of the vehicle compared to the bikes. that
The
are
risk
on
to
it.
pedestrians.
Yes.
They're on Hyde Park's BMX track
I
all the
know.
time.
Yep.
They come down our street and they all, there's 3 of them, and they all pull up the front wheel and then they'll go clear to the stop sign. at
So we'll
16.
also have Joni hold up a sign. Just, at all
I know where
hours.
they live, but
oh, these
Yeah,
are our
that's-
neighbors, and that's why it's not just a faceless problem, you know, like it's, and I hope people acknowledge that we're not trying to ruin people's fun or the convenience of this. I
They're-
think it's
yeah,
just that,
they're young. I mean, I think of the things I did when I was young, and if I'd had one of those, I might have been wanting to pop a wheelie too. I don't, but
but texting while
Safety course-
motorcycling
see,
is
I wouldn't
maybe
do
the
that.
most egregious thing that I've seen.
I'm now realizing like I feel like we can have all the greatest rules in the land if we cannot enforce them. And so in my mind, I would want you to make sure that we're creating an enforceable thing for you. And I feel like, again, my personal thought is I feel like we can very easily enforce keeping them off of the pathways. And maybe that's where we need to start as we just figure out how best to address this issue. I think maybe let's start there, you know?
Okay, so maybe what we'll do is the 3 of us can just work on some sort of survey, and then council will get your input on that too, once Alan comes up with the rough draft. And then we'll distribute that, and then let's set kind of an educational / like public input sort of workshop. Because I think people show up when they care, and I think people would care about this one, so.
Absolutely.
And when they're there, we'll trick them into an educational component.
Sounds good to me.
I said that on the record on purpose.
individual okay,
Is what, sorry?
the one that got hit.
Yes. Yep, they're okay.
Okay,
So-
thanks so much, Chief. Thanks, council, for really the thoughtful discussion on this. Okay, let's get updates on our general plan and city center master plan. And Scott, I would like to know when this is going to be removed from our agenda.
Anytime. Happy to have it off.
Okay,
No, we are getting close. Alan, do you want to go to the website real quick? We've made some changes here I wanted to just bring up and make sure everybody's aware. nlcplan.org. You can go through the city's website to get there as well. There is a link, but nlcplan.org is the website for the general plan, city center master plan, and also all these text amendments that we're working our way through. We have made a couple of updates trying to simplify and streamline. Got a good comment from Mark on this to try to make it a little bit more distilled. So on the plan page, you'll see in those green icons, those are the adopted general plan and city center master plan. The new link immediately to the right of the general plan link, yeah, if you want to click on that one right there, this is a summary document that essentially takes the general plan, pulls out each of the goals or aspirational elements from the plan document itself, puts it into a table format, indicates where in the text amendments we are working to implement those ideas, and then some notes associated with them as well. So this is a really good high-level umbrella summary document for anybody who wants to understand the greater text amendment project. So I would recommend if you want to start looking into this, this is a great first place to start. And then Alan, if you want to go back to, actually stay here, one more comment. So you'll notice where we're at the bottom of the page here. For this topic, owner occupancy incentive programs, that was a large effort in the general plan. It was something we were focusing on. How do we get more owner occupancy in our housing? So if you're interested in a particular topic, maybe find that topic on the left-hand side, and then you can read through the bullet points to see where in the text amendments we've worked to integrate that element. So I know that was a pet project of several of our council members. So that's where you'll find that summary. But you can search this document by topic and find the details next to it. Alan, if you want to go back to the web page again. So if you want to scroll down, there you go. Okay. So here are our 4 links to subsections of a land use. We had a couple more links that we decided to remove because there are no adjustments that are needed in those subsections. So we've stayed in 12A, B, C, and D. If you click on 12A, for example, on the left, again, we've created another summary document in bullet point format. The link at the top of the page will get you to the actual red line text for that section of code. So if you want to get really into the weeds, you can click on that link. Otherwise, to the bottom, the table attempts to summarize all the changes within 12A. And this is what we're calling the policy summary guide document. There's a link for each section of code. So yeah, if you click on 12B, you'll see that that summary document is there as well. So we're hoping to distill it as much as possible. If you get into the red line text amendments, it's hundreds of pages of red lines. So it's a lot to wrap your head around. But we are wrapping up this project. You'll notice that 12D, which is our subdivision subsection of the land use code, is the final section we're working our way through. So this link is still the text amendment draft. The Planning Commission is going to be holding another workshop on this tomorrow. And our hope is that we wrap this up with a recommendation in October and bring it to council in November. So it's a good time to get caught up if you haven't been following along closely. But yeah, it will be to council here within the next month or so. So that is the end of the road. So hopefully we can wrap this up. It's been a long project, but a lot of details to go through. Any
Okay,
questions on that?
This summary is immensely better than I had ever envisioned my question, so well done.
Great. Okay, if anybody has any questions, especially in the public, this is a lot to wrap your head around. Come and ask us questions. We're happy to sit down with anybody who would like to know. Just give us a call, set up an appointment. We're happy to go through the details.
okay, thanks, Scott.
Yep.
All right, same question to you, Mr. Oldham. When are we going to take the water capital improvement projects off our agenda?
Whenever you'd like.
Okay,
Don't. Okay, sorry, I won't.
no,
always
let's hear the update.
So a couple big things. This week we'll be applying for an asset management grant, which is a state required program that we have to complete, but they are supplying some funding. So hopefully we can get that from them. And then next week we will do pour 405 up in the mouth of Green Canyon to complete the contact chamber and the 4 million gallon tank. The first concrete pour is scheduled for October 2nd or the 7th, depending on the concrete plant's availability, because it's a big pour, so they have to schedule out pretty much every concrete truck for that day. So that's where we're at.
Okay, thank you.
Jordan, does weather affect that also, or can I do that in any weather
As long as
condition?
it's not raining. Cold, like temperatures won't, it's just if it's raining.
Okay.
Okay, updates on the Civic Center.
I'll jump into that quickly. They're finishing up some flat work concrete around the outside of the building for code. They have to have some of that installed right now. They'll do the remainder of that in the spring. They're wrapping up the community center portion. They've painted kind of the elbow area, and then they'll move on to the community center, and then they'll do a lot of finish work. They've luckily received some of the electrical equipment that we waited over a year on. It's installed, which is key and crucial to actually being able to be up and running in the community center portion. And then once they're done with each of those over the next 2 months, then they'll move on to revamping the inside of the library. Trent's going through a strategic plan as to how to keep the library up and running, and which we've gone over, but hats off to him because they'll unlike other libraries that have had to shut down through this process, he'll be fully operational, at least to some component of that, to be able to distribute media and then also have programming still operational at that point. So great job there. And then we'll continue fundraising, finalizing some of the interior furnishing of that building or the plan for that. And so that's where we are with the Civic Center.
It's
Okay.
really fun. They're not planning on, they're planning on closing for a little bit, but they are planning to do not to change any of their programming. I mean, they're still gonna try to do story time and all sorts of stuff like that. Have take-home kits for certain things. I'm grateful to see the work that's been put in to keep that library running at 100%.
Yeah, okay, thank you both. All right, let's get reports. Jordan, Scott,
Sorry, real quick. Alan, if you want to go into that folder for reports from officers, I've dropped a new file into this folder. This is a file that we share with the Planning Commission, just the one up there, yep. This is a more detailed list of all the projects that Planning and Zoning, Community Development is reviewing in various stages of review and approval. The action items list that Alan goes through at the beginning of the city council meetings is essentially just the top few projects. This is a longer list, so if anybody in the council or Planning Commission has access as well, if there's a particular project you're curious about, you can click on the link in this this tracker. It'll go to our checklist of items that we're working on, some notes as to what staff might be waiting on or what the next steps are. So if there's anything in particular on the list you want to ask me about, that's where it's probably the most consolidated, all of the various items. So that's a new document that we dropped in that folder. I guess we'll copy and paste that from week to week for each council folder.
That's amazing. That's so cool, Scott. So, okay. Any questions from council on that? Okay, Scott Bennett.
Just a reminder that Meet the Candidates Night is a week from tonight in this room. And we'll just open the room at 5 o'clock. So,
Okay.
and then question and answer should start somewhere around 6 o'clock. And then sometime towards the end of next week, I'll need to drop hotel rooms if you're not going to the Utah League. So I'll reach out to you.
Remind me, are those hotel rooms typically Wednesday night, just Wednesday night?
It's Wednesday, for the hotel rooms.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for those that want to go up Tuesday, so they can be there at 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock in the morning when things start on Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
I do have rooms starting on Tuesday, going through Thursday.
Okay.
And then we can modify those up until next.
Do we just need
end
to
of
let
next
you
week.
know?
Yeah, I'll reach out to you.
I don't need Tuesday night, so.
One point of clarification on the Meet the Candidates night, the public portion is not open until 6 p.m. The candidates can come by at 5 p.m., set up whatever they need to. Because we noticed it in the newsletter and everything else at 6 p.m. and it's not open to the public until 6 p.m. that night.
Okay.
And
So
the
that's
Q-
not a meet and greet at 5 then? It's
It's
just come at
it's-
6?
It's at 6.
And then maybe there'll be time afterwards?
Yeah, there's
Okay.
time afterwards to meet and greet. And talk with all the
Q&A
candidates.
starts right at 6.
Kenny has a lot of questions.
Yeah, that's
so
right. I'm
Probably
queuing it up.
slight.
you're going to see him up there just grilling us.
Scott, have you gotten questions?
I've got 5 questions. So
Okay.
I need more.
Okay. I'm gonna ghostwrite some.
Ask them something about e-bikes.
Ooh, that's a good,
I mean,
that's a good way to
in
cut your
reality,
teeth.
it's not a bad question to ask because we're grappling with it. And I'd actually be very interested to hear what other people have to say on
Yeah.
this.
Okay. Alan,
Just 2 or 3 quick things. Who's got the November? Oh,
it is me in November.
okay, you're up, Mayor. And then, sorry, going back to this list of upcoming events. Sorry, this isn't very up to date, but jumping down through here. The homecoming parade is next Wednesday at 5 p.m. The Meet the Candidates night is from 6 to 8 for the general public. Space Camp is coming up as well. The library has a few other events just on their website if you look those up. Utah Leagues of Cities and Towns, October 1st or 2nd, and then you get into Pumpkin Days. And so going down through here, here's all the different events coming up for that month. Just a fantastic month of events.
I was going to ask Scott, with the unfortunate overlap with Green Canyon Homecoming and Meet the Candidates Night, I know the Youth Council's been struggling to get youth volunteers to help with Meet the Candidates Night. Did you get all the volunteers you needed out of that?
Currently, I have 2 coming, which
Oh.
will be enough for the moderating.
So
Maybe they might be able to get a few more that come after the parade.
At the Meet the
last
Candidates?
year, the majority of the parade was done by 5:45.
Oh, okay, so,
People should be fine. The general public or any other individual, I'm sure they will last till about 6 at the latest for that parade. So
okay, maybe I'll have the advisors communicate that out to the kids, because I think the kids have been hesitant to sign up thinking that there would be a conflict.
what they should do though is just let the athletic director know that they need to be at the first of the parade if they would like, and then there's no specific order to that parade. Sorry, and the
Well,
only
and I
other
guess if we don't
item-
have anybody, Kenny is the council representative for youth council. And I would not mind him holding up a red sheet of paper to tell me to stop.
Yeah, that's right. I can moderate.
So one other item that's in discussion right now. So this is a very rough draft survey. But the thought is, right now, as we're doing the master signage plan, this has come up from several of the people putting together proposals. And they basically indicated to us, they've gone through other cities and done this. They said, are you for sure set on your name of your city and the brand of your city? And they brought that up and I just kind of laughed. I was like, how did you know that we've ever even talked about that? This is becoming a question right now where the city basically has, in my opinion, one last opportunity to even ask the question. Because after we go down this road, it'll be several $100,000, if not millions, over the next 10 to 20 years of installation of signage throughout the community. Everything from street corner signs to street entrance signs to wayfinding to every last aspect of the city that we will be spending money on. And so the question comes up, which comes up about once a week for me, is has the city ever thought of changing its name? It's ironic because a lot of people ask because of identity. If we have a different name, we would have a distinct identity for our city. The original name of North Logan was Greenville from 1884 to 1934. It was changed because we had to quickly incorporate and file for water rights. And at that time, there was a Greenville in southern Utah that was larger and older. At that time, they were unincorporated as well. Today, we found out that they're still unincorporated, and they are smaller than they were in 1860, meaning there's only about 10 homes in the community. So they do not have a right to the name per se. The city can choose Greenville, North Logan, if we wanted to at this point, because we are an incorporated community. The question also has other implications. The reason it comes up from staff and other individuals pretty regularly is because of the instance today where we got a notification that we didn't do our truth in taxation hearing correctly, and they mistook us for North Ogden. They'll mistake us for Logan about every week. We have our business licensing division and our sales tax issues that are probably a daily issue in North Logan City because our sales tax for certain businesses ends up going to Logan. And unless we find out about it and we track that down, it never ends up in North Logan's coffers or it doesn't come back to our residents of the community. Likewise, businesses who come in and get their business license and operate in our city, there's a particular business, and I won't go into names, but about 3 to 4 times a year, we have to go in and correct that their business license is in North Logan City, not in Logan City. And so there are tax implications, there are financial implications. How severe, we don't know, but it's going to be in the $100,000 range every year of taxes, fees, other things that we miss out on that end up in an adjacent community because of our name. And so this just begs the question, this is one opportunity to go out and get an opinion from the public. What do they think? This does not mean we're jumping into this, that we'll change it tomorrow, no matter what comes back, because it's going to be a monumental task if the majority of the public comes back and says we want Greenville. But this is just an opportunity to just chat about this really quickly before any type of just survey goes out, a draft survey.
And I added that language in to that last, the second paragraph, the last sentence, I added in the tax language. But thoughts from council on this?
I'm very interested to see what people will say, because I really think that will guide whether we even want to pursue this.
But I'd want to hear what you just said now, because otherwise I'm going,
Why would you?
why would you, and what's the cost?
I agree.
So that's
I
why I'm
think-
wondering if we need to present this survey
I
with
think
a
give the-
video
give
of
the full
Alan
background.
explaining it. I mean, that's silly, but like,
But people will not read it. Like, if you get more wordy than this, I think we can tweak that, but
Okay.
I just don't think people will read it.
Could you at least add a sentence that says there's hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of tax
She
implications and
does. In
benefits.
addition to establishing a unique identity of our own, we have also encountered issues in ensuring that sales and business tax benefits rightfully accrue to North Logan.
Yeah,
I mean,
just,
You can put like in the amount of, you know,
yeah,
in,
yeah, just to give a sense of the scale, because if I were to read that, I wouldn't realize the scale that we're talking about here.
Tax
Yeah.
savings through the
or do we bold that sentence so it's just more obvious?
That's probably your
Yeah. And one resident pointed out to me, because he asked me this question weeks ago, months ago, and said it would be good to know that they're coming back to us. So that's the key component, not just coming back to the city, but they're coming back to the citizens as
Yeah,
benefits.
ultimately it will benefit the citizens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see where this goes.
I did it.
I love
We're
it.
really
Mark.
big on identity theft and we had our name stolen from us in the beginning because we tried to steal somebody else's, so.
Can I also mention, we're coming up on the 100-year anniversary of our incorporation, which I think would be a really cool, like, return back to what we started as.
Do we have any sense for what the cost would be to change the name to Greenville?
Very expensive.
It
guess
would, I
I'm
mean, like,
wondering-
even just our massive letters on the front of the city offices
that has
and,
to change.
Oh,
and
Like-
ownership documents and,
It doesn't mean it has to change tomorrow, though. That's the key component, is you can slowly change. People knew that we were North Logan, and we will be changing Greenville over time, and
Yeah, I guess I'm wondering if it's $1 million project, we would recoup that in 10 years of sales tax savings and business license savings. So at least that would help frame the context.
I don't think
we're
it's
in the
that
realm of
high.
million.
I think it's a
you're talking-
really big headache.
I
but-
think it's less than it used to be. The only reason I say that is because everything used to be on print
Yeah.
material, and now it would just be a digital change. Not that we wouldn't have print material, we would have to change. It would be very extensive. But then you have like just general signage, which is part of this plan that we have to swap out anyways across the community.
Yeah. And then our North Logan swag will become like collector's items and
You know, I've
self-organized
always
and all
wanted a collector's item, so perfect.
Yeah.
My awesome public work shirt with a cool front pocket.
that.
So just in general, though, the council is supportive of just, we'll send this out to you just to take a look at it and sending it out to the general public to just get a feeling at this point. And then we can just talk about it in a more actionable item once we get feedback.
Yeah, I do like the idea of a survey, but I agree with Joni that without the full context, people will be like, why would we even sign up for this
Why would we
headache?
even sign up for this
So
expense?
the other thing that I think that we do is, like, I plan on speaking to this on social media and posting it to the North Logan social media as well, so that there is some context.
Yeah.
Or
I
I'll let
think-
Alan do it.
I'll venture to just, we're not gonna put an age in here, but there is an age component to this. I think people that grew up here and that were raised here, I think there's gonna be some pride in North Logan. I asked the staff across the board, it was probably 20 to 30 people that I've just reached out to and asked. I'll say it's 98% change it to Greenville now from the staff. Just because of the issues that they run into constantly with getting mixed up with other communities, having to correct that.
Getting chastened by Utah League of Cities and Towns
Jason, it's just constant for the
wrongfully.
staff. That does not mean that the residents will feel the same way, and so that's the question we need to ask. I would say the super old residents, I would just say they'll know that the name was Greenville. That's why the elementary over here is Greenville. Their parents or themselves, they remember when it was Greenville. And so that's a key component. I would say the middle-aged individuals who grew up here their whole lives wouldn't even be aware of that. They've always known North Logan. And so that's the question mark that comes up that they'll answer.
So I changed this in real time. Do we say in the realm of $100,000 annually, or hundreds of thousands, which is more accurate?
I think hundreds of thousands is more accurate. And
It could be. We have
Okay.
We have a
no
hard
way of telling. We
tracking it
just
down.
track down chunks of 5 to 10,000 here and there every year
Okay.
that we have to constantly correct. It's not a one-time correction.
Okay.
I still kind of like the idea of convincing Logan City to change their name to South North Logan.
We really should go back to that. You know what?
Chief Thompson wasn't even listening to that one.
Chief really wants to
It-
change
it-
all of his signage to now.
It was meant to be inflammatory. I can't believe you didn't get that.
Yeah, he's like actually
back
doing
to
real
it.
work for us and we're trying to start a fight. Come on, Chief.
Okay, Alan, anything else?
No, sorry, thank you for your feedback on this, and we'll expect a lot more feedback going forward, so thank you.
Okay, can I get just a rough idea who's going to the league this year? Emily, Joni? Okay,
The
What do you
first day
think?
is the most important of the two, is that right? Out of the
like
and Thursday.
Wednesday?
Yes.
I would say so, yeah. Because the Thursday tends to be like the larger group and like the keynote. So yeah, that's when all the classes are. So. If you're prioritizing.
I'll get an answer
I was just
by the end of the
curious.
week here.
Okay, sounds good. All right, then I'd entertain a motion to
So
adjourn.
moved.
Motion by Emily, second by Joni, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thanks, guys.
Yeah, I am. There's a
Unless
couple,
I have to go work somewhere.
I'm really excited. They had some sessions.
Not bad time-wise, like for how much we discussed stuff tonight.
All right.
Yeah, right here. She wants to take a look at it though. So I asked her about it. She said, let's take a look at it on Thursday. Oh, she's already read it, but she just said, let's take a look at it this week. I'll get with you this week. Just even send me a text on like Friday and we can go over it. Oh, cool. Awesome. Okay. That was fantastic update tonight. Good job. Oh, not much. I've talked to all the other city managers. Not one was aware of this. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. Oh, sorry.